How's it going, everybody? It's Boiling Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream, and we're going to be doing our Game Week 28 deadline stream today. We're doing it the day before because the deadline tomorrow is at 2:30 my time, which is 6:30 UK time, because the first match kicks off at 8 o'clock UK time between Newcastle and Aston Villa. So we always do it the night before. It's actually two back-to-back Friday kickoffs. For the next two game weeks, and then it's the international break. Not looking forward to the international break because I don't like it when there's no football, but whatever, we will deal with it. But yeah, we're gonna go through some normal stuff as we normally do. We're gonna check a captaincy picks, the goals imminent table. We're gonna see where you guys are at with your teams, what transfers you're pretending on or looking to make. So planning was the word I was looking for to make, and yeah, let's get right into it. How's it going, Zodiac? Hopefully I don't have any, like I said, pizza sauce around my face. Literally, I ordered food, and it was delivered, like, I started the stream, like, to start up with the music and that sort of stuff, and literally the food came through the door. So I was like, let me get a couple of bites while it's still hot off the press. Yeah, luckily it's a thinner crust pizza, like a New York style, and it was smaller slices, so made it easier to manage. Although I still managed to get sauce. It literally, the last bite I took, I went to go like this, and it dropped straight down onto the nice socks that I wear, nice Nike tube socks. And of course, they weren't red or normal color, which the sauce you wouldn't be able to see them. They were on blue. Just eat while streaming. I don't care. No, that's rude. Can't do that. We got to be talking about FPL as it is. I'm probably rambling on too much about pizza. But yeah. Regardless, we have Game Week 28 around the corner. And yeah, I still don't know what to do with my transfers. I've been looking, over today. I've been looking at different ways I can, potentially get Bruno back in. I've kind of looked at the Europa League games, and I've seen that, Kane played pretty much the whole game, if not the whole game. I don't know if he actually got substituted off. I don't think he did. But then Arsenal won as well, so they're looking okay for the second leg. Son came off early. Bale only came off for like 30 minutes, so is Kane going to start? He had an ice pack on him, so, is he necessarily the best captaincy choice? I'm not too sure. So, yeah, it is a bit of a weird one. And then obviously I still have injuries and stuff to deal with, all things considered, in the team. But yeah, it is something that we kind of have to deal with. And it is going to be a bit tough. And I think that's why the title of the stream is what it is. Captains aplenty. So there's many different captains we can choose from in this week particular. But are they necessarily, like, nailed on? They all kind of have their drawbacks. So we're actually going to bring up the goals imminent table. Not the goals imminent table. Our attacking XGI output table. So this is the one that I have that I use for captains to see which players are kind of in form. This is over the last 6 matches, as you can see. And this is in the Fantasy Football Scout members area, so you can see the little logo down there. It's £20 for the whole year, and they usually have a preseason deal where you get like 25 or 10% or whatever percentage is off, and you basically you can make your own stats tables. You can use other people's stats tables. You can use Rate My Teams. You can check the season ticker, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a very useful tool. And we have this table here where basically I put in big chances created, big chances that they've gotten, chances created, minutes per XGI, shots in the box, shots on target, XG delta, so the expected goals that they should have scored. Are they exceeding it? Are they below it? XG non-penalty, and then XGI, which is what we sorted the table by. And bang at the top of it is Harry Kane himself. So he's somebody that everyone's obviously looking at. Likes a goal versus Arsenal. Is he the out-and-out best captaincy choice for this week? Potentially, but Arsenal do like to shut up shop a little bit and are quite good defensively, although they have been, leaking goals because of mistakes. In their past 2 games, they've 2 goals, 2 mistakes, basically. Ceballos getting dispossessed in tonight's game, and Xhaka basically hitting it off Chris Wood in the last Premier League game. So it is a bit of a tricky one for them. Which would benefit Kane, almost certainly. But the 90 minutes in the ice pack, and Mourinho's kind of mixed comments saying he should be ready for these sorts of games, but we're not sure. I don't think he should have personally played him versus Dinamo Zagreb, but it is what it is. And then Salah, next on the list, 3.22 expected goal involvement. His stats have been okay, but have they been good enough for 12.5 million? No returns in 11 out of the last 14, and only 1 double-digit return of those 3 sets of returns. But yeah. They don't rest Son, but they rest Bale. Well, Son played 60 minutes and then came off, so Son's fine. Son can literally play 90 minutes every game for the entire season, like genuinely. He has that good of a, of a tank. Whereas Bale is more of a, he's more of a, kind of an injury-prone player and always has been. And Kane 90 against the bot team. I mean, with Kane, I think what Mourinho wanted to do is he wanted to get the game, get that tie kind of sewn up, done and out of the way with, because I think out of the 2 games that Mourinho's team's probably going to have more trouble with, I think the Aston Villa one is probably going to be it, because they should have Grealish back by then. Matty Cash should be back as well, so they should be full strength, assuming they don't get any other injuries. Whereas Arsenal, Spurs should be able to beat Arsenal, with or without Kane personally, because the team's just so good. Like, if you stuck Vinicius up front and you had Son, Bale, Ndombele, Ali, Højbjerg, Aurier, Reguilon, that team should definitely beat Arsenal's team, for sure. Obviously, adding Kane is like the icing on the cake. Like, he's that good. But Vinicius has been good as well, so it could definitely cause problems. And he's also deceptively a big guy, Vinicius, so... But it is what it is. I think they could have also won 2-0 tonight without Kane as well, because both the goals are kind of scrappy that Kane did score. But yeah, Salah, not on everyone's list at the moment, is being sold by a lot of managers. Bruno Fernandes, someone who was sold by a lot of managers, but ahead of the City game, I didn't have him for the double and got away with it. But again, West Ham, very good fixture for West Ham because they like to sit back. And also there's a fear that Marcus Rashford, Cavani, Pogba, all these sorts of players could be out for this fixture. So that could pose a bit of a problem for Manchester United and Bruno Fernandes himself, potentially getting any returns. However, Bruno can play terribly for pretty much the entire game, and then they win a penalty, and then he scores it because, as we know, Bruno finds penalties very easy, whereas the rest of the league does not. And he's a bit of a freak when it comes to scoring penalties. Like, I think he's missed 1 in 20 odd or something stupid like that. It's actually a ridiculous amount of penalties that he does actually score. Although Ederson was quite close to the last one that he did take. Timo Werner's next on that list. He is by far the biggest underachiever, so he should have had an extra 1.62 goals tacked on to what he already has received. He's going to go on a match streak, I think. We keep saying it every week, with Timo Werner specifically, mainly because I backed him at the beginning of the season to win the Golden Boot, which obviously isn't going to happen. But I expect them to do well, especially with the run of fixtures, and I would like to find a way to potentially get him in, but I don't think it's going to be possible. Might have to go with something a little bit more reliable, like Chelsea's defense. Richarlison, the man in form, doesn't necessarily create a whole lot of chances, but is getting a lot of big chances himself. He has 5, and he's been getting more shots in the box than Calvert-Lewin over the last four matches, whereas for the last 6, they've been pretty much the same. Gareth Bale is obviously up there, 2.69, doing quite well. I think if you have Bale versus Kane, it's a bit of a toss-up, honestly. I don't think Kane misses the matches. that are these important ones, unless he's definitely out. But I think he was just fine. Probably a little bit of soreness. Probably should be okay. De Bruyne obviously piqued their interest, getting back on track, getting 2 goals in their previous game versus Fulham. So he's definitely an option, but Fulham's defense has shown that they can be quite resilient. Mason Mount, an outside shot for the captaincy this week as well. But again, is he as reliable? Technically, he might not start, even though he was benched in the last game. And then Calvert-Lewin, whose numbers have dropped off, but has a great fixture against Burnley. And then Jamie Vardy at the very bottom of the list. His stats show that he shouldn't do anything, but he's playing Sheffield United, who are the weakest team at the moment in terms of defense over the last several game weeks. So yeah, that's kind of the dilemma we sit ourselves in. There's a situation here where there's going to be a lot of captains. There's potentially going to be one that kind of, blows everyone out of the water. And then there's going to be a few that maybe do a little bit here and there. And then there's going to be probably the majority of them potentially do nothing. I mean, there's a lot of great fixtures this week. We just take a look at them, running it down one by one. Aston Villa versus Newcastle. I mean, if we knew Jack Grealish was fit, which we'll probably find out tomorrow, that looks like it could be a great fixture there. Even Emi Martinez, just a safe 6 points, because you don't expect Newcastle to really score. That looks pretty good. Chelsea, if we knew Werner was going to start again versus Leeds, a very leaky defense, although they have been improving. Leeds just never look like they're going to keep a clean sheet. Crystal Palace, West Brom, not really going to go there. Everton versus Burnley, again, good fixture on paper. Pope has also dropped from first to third in terms of XG prevented. So basically that's just an amalgamation of shots where if the keeper does make a save, it adds up. And then over the season, you'll see how many goals they've effectively prevented with their saves. And at the moment, over the last 4 matches, Nick Pope's actually conceded 1.6-ish or something like that, more goals than what he should have. So he's not doing too hot at the moment. Man City versus Fulham. Again, like we said, Fulham's defense has been quite good. Whereas Man City has been the team, they're back in form now. Obviously, they scored 5 goals versus Southampton, who gave them a little bit of a go, and I expect if Fulham do the same, Man City could definitely punish them, although there is that risk of rotation. Do we know if De Bruyne is going to start? Do we know if Gundogan's going to start? Cancelo, who was benched last game, is he actually going to play this next game? John Stones doesn't necessarily have to start this game. He could start in the Champions League, where they would definitely want to progress, even though they are up 2-0 in that tie. Definitely want to make sure that tie is 100% sewn down. Get to halftime 0-0 or ahead, and then you can take people off after you've got the 3-goal advantage for Manchester City. Also, another thing to note with these next set of games, with like Spurs, Arsenal, both of them are pretty much going through, so they can go full strength in this one, knowing that they can definitely rest whoever they need to potentially in the next one. Arsenal's was away from home, Spurs' was at home, so both of them are quite favored. Arsenal getting 3 away goals, fantastic for them. Spurs getting 2 home goals with none in reply is great for them as well. So again, 2-goal cushions for them. They can go full strength. Southampton versus Brighton is another one here. Not really looking towards it. Maybe Danny Ings if he was fit, but not really in looking at that. Leicester versus Sheffield United. Again, Leicester is a team that is typically quite good versus teams that can sit in a low block. But that is with the likes of James Maddison. That's with the likes of Harvey Barnes. Both of those players are injured at the moment. And in terms of when they're actually returning, I'm just going to actually take a look at that. So James Maddison has a hip injury. He's unknown. And Harvey Barnes is April 10th, which is game week 31. So, again, not looking too good. Man United versus West Ham. As we mentioned, West Ham have been in good form. Man United, came off a 1-1. Looked to have a few injuries, which are quite concerning. Cavani, Rashford, Paul Pogba, Donny van der Beek. There's a lot of players that are injured for United, attacking-wise, which doesn't leave good options left. So they might struggle versus West Ham to break them down. And they showed, AC Milan showed tonight that if you press United, you can do quite well. And then Wolves, who've been better defensively against a Liverpool team that can't score very much. So potentially be looking to avoid that fixture altogether as well. So, and those games go right up until Monday. So overall, it is a bit tricky for the captaincy. Who do you think is the best captain this game week? I have to captain Vardy. Got no other choice, or maybe DCL. So if I had to rank them in terms of the fixture, because that's what I like to do when it comes to captaincy. In terms of fixture, I'll do one for fixture, one for form. So you'll see how there's going to be a bit of a contrast. So let me bring the old notepad out. So if I had to do it based on, I'll do my top 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is based on fixture. So this is excluding how the player is playing. This is literally just who their opposition is and what they could potentially do or what they have done versus them before. I think Vardy's number 1. He scored versus Sheffield United this season. Sheffield United over the past 4 game weeks and 6 game weeks have shown the worst defense in the league. Conceding the most big chances, have the most XG conceded, have conceded many goals, and some of them have been to just bad defending. Plus, they're also injury-ridden at the back. So I think that Vardy, fixture-wise, would be the best option. Second on the fixture list as well, I would say it's probably Man City. So this falls under the category of like KDB, of Gundogan, of Mahrez, of etc., etc. In that category. The problem is obviously with that is the fact that you don't know if they're going to get rotated. Or not. Then in the third slot, I would say Kane, specifically Kane, because he's good. He plays well versus Arsenal. Always seems to score versus them. Then I would say number 4 is Richarlison / DCL. I would put, I'll put Son in the category, but basically Kane / on there. And then number 5, I would say, is Fernandes. I think Fernandes is at the very bottom. I would say Kane over DCL. Yeah, I think that would be the case, just because DCL has been a bit off it. Richarlison's been more of the guy, getting more shots in the box. And Kane will probably be fit, I would guess. In terms of form, that's a completely different story. Form, and we'll do a combined after this as well. So that's fixture. This is form. Let me change the font size 14, just so we can see all of them. Then it's form over fixture. Kane's fixture is trash. Form is good. See the thing is though, we say Kane's fixture is bad, but it's actually not. Kane away to Arsenal is actually like basically playing a bottom 8 team. I can bring up the stats off to the side. So let me actually do that. Kane versus Arsenal stats. Harry Kane record against Arsenal. I'm gonna pick the away fixtures only. So this is away to Arsenal in the Premier League. So away to Arsenal in the Premier League, he has played. He's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and he has scored in 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. But he also played 90 minutes. That has to be considered as well. Yeah, but I think Mourinho probably knows that he should be fine, assuming he didn't get like a bad injury. But again, Kane can play 90 minutes every game. He also scored 2 tonight, so that'll probably ease a little bit of the pain, as it were. And basically, Mourinho will probably say, go out there, you're going to play versus Arsenal, you want to play versus Arsenal, and we'll just rest you midweek because we're up 2-0 anyway. And if we need you, we'll bring you on. But I think the tough game is going to be versus Aston Villa. I think that's going to be the tough game. So form-wise, Kane is number 1. He is definitely number 1. 100%. Scored 2 tonight, although they were kind of scrappy goals, and I think Vinicius could have scored them. But also scored 2, assisted 2. And with Bale in the team, he's just turned into a complete, even better than what he was, which is insane to think about. Second in form, you probably have to go with. See, this is a bit of a close one, but I would say, in terms of form wise, I would say the KDB. This is basically the Man City players, because they had a little blip versus United and they got back to winning form. I still think it's KDB, Gundo, Mahrez, number 1, but I don't know. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do a final list here. Afterwards, number 3, I would say it's Richarlison / DCL. Number 4, I would say is Fernandes. And then 5, I would even say Salah would be in number 5 over Vardy in terms of form, because form-wise, Vardy's terrible. Salah is as well, but at least he's getting the stats to show that he could potentially be doing more. And then obviously like the overall, so this is including form, fixture, and in terms of like, if obviously with City, it is a bit tricky to kind of say this, but if I were to combine form and fixture, that's what I would go for. So basically, if you averaged it out, Vardy has the number 1 fixture this week, but he's not even in the top 5 for form. So that probably averages him around 3rd, 4th-ish. So in terms of the highest overall average, let's see who's at the top the most. So we say Kane's 1 and 3. Man City's 2 and 2. So I think 2 and 2 is better than 1 and 3. So I would say Man City is assuming you can obviously know which player is going to play. If De Bruyne plays, he obviously has every chance to do well versus them, and he has done well versus Fulham this season. So then after that, Richarlison's a 3 and a 4. Kane's a 1 and a 3, so I would say then Kane / Son. Then after that, I would probably say Richarlison / DCL. Then I would say Vardy. And then I would say Fernandes, if I had to like combine them all. But obviously with the Man City is going to have a little bit of an asterisk next to it, because it is a bit tricky to know which which player is going to start. Like, you can say, yeah, De Bruyne is going to start. Yeah, Gundogan's going to start. Yeah, Ederson's going to start. Ederson should start. But will they actually start? Is the question. That's kind of the problem that we have to kind of figure out. That's not easy to figure out. Because with Pep, it's a bit tricky. Because he can just pick and choose. He could say, oh yeah, Mars is on form, but he might need a rest, and then he plays him again. Foden comes in, looks brilliant for one game, could be back on the bench. Bernardo Silva, forgotten man. Could play 6 games in a row now. Who knows? Aguero came on for a few minutes. Jesus was on the bench. I believe he was unused. Versus Southampton. You know, he's been good, you know, over the past 6 matches. Apart from Mahrez. Why not play him? But he might not play. So, if I knew exactly which Man City player it would be, I would go for them, for sure. And the fear is, obviously, if you go for a situation, so I'm just going to move this off to the side. If you went for a situation where, you know, you did this, you say, make captain, make vice captain. If De Bruyne is, let's say, on the bench, and City go behind and they're struggling a little bit, do we think De Bruyne is going to come on? Probably. So you don't really want like a 1-pointer off the bench. You want to make sure that they're starting. Or that they don't come on at all. There's also a chance that you could put the captaincy on De Bruyne, vice captain on Gundogan, and he plays Foden and Bernardo Silva in the midfield, with Rodri at CDM, Mahrez on the right, Sterling on the left, and then Jesus or Aguero up front. Because he's against Fulham. Who knows? That's why it's a bit... Even with the potential that a game could get cancelled due to an outbreak or, you know, something crazy like that, it's always best to put it on another player. But with the captaincy, you want to know somebody who's, you know, definitely going to play, and could potentially get you the most points. And whether you do that based on form or fixture, who knows? That's why I don't think, like, I can comfortably pick De Bruyne or Gundogan, because, like, De Bruyne has played, what? 60 plus minutes in the last 5 matches since his injury. Gundogan has been rested a little bit more recently, but has effectively played 4 out of 5 in the Premier League, and then he also played in the Champions League. Whereas like Kane or Vardy, like Vardy's had a full rest this week. You know, Vardy plays 90 minutes pretty much every game, but he's had a full rest. He hasn't played since, you know, since the last time they played on Saturday. So he's had what, 7 days rest? It will be by the time they go to play. 7 full days. But obviously they have their injury concerns. So, it is a bit tricky. It is a bit tricky. But, yeah, Kane versus Arsenal away is a pretty good fixture. Pretty good fixture, all things considered. But, yeah, this is how I see it. Hey, Mono, how's it going? Hey, lads. Lads and lasses. But, yeah, if it was based on fixture, Vardy is without a doubt the best fixture, just because the stats show that Sheffield United's bad. Then City, and then the Spurs boys. And then in terms of form, Kane, Man City, and then Everton. Well, specifically Richarlison, I would say. But I kind of lumped them in the same category. And then overall, I would say the order is Man City, if with the caveat that you know the person's going to start. Because if Fulham try to give Man City a go, they try to press them, Man City can basically learn from what United did against them and be able to deal with it. So yeah, should be comfortable for them. It's just a matter of who is going to be in that starting lineup, which is the real question. But we will take a look at the goals and minute table here. So this is also from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If I can get it to go on the screen properly. There we go. I'm going to sort it by expected goals. So the person who's most expected to score is Diagne, who also plays Crystal Palace. So I would say he could potentially be somebody for the captaincy, although having him in your team is already differential. Then we got Nicola Pepe. We have Raheem Sterling again. could potentially be someone who plays and does quite well. Firmino, Bamford, Rafinha, Trossard, Pereira, or Mateus Pereira, Neto, and Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins has hit the woodwork so many times, it's ridiculous. We'll keep that up just in case. Who would you prioritize KDB in versus a Game Week 29 player? Well, you have to think about is KDB's fixture versus Fulham away and the future fixtures worth it versus the 2 fixtures that Game Week 29 player is going to have. Because after, so if we look at KDB's fixtures here, you know, he plays Fulham, but then he has Leicester, which they could have some players back by then. We don't know. Then Leeds is good. Aston Villa's not all that good. Then they have a blank for the Carabao Cup final. Then they have Crystal Palace, which is good. Newcastle, Brighton, Everton. Those are all good fixtures. And then Chelsea's going to be a bit tough. But they could also have the league won by then. So maybe you go for something a bit more secure, like a Ederson, like a Diaz or somebody like that. And just be solid for City's points and just kind of don't worry about their attackers, because Pep could rest their attackers and prioritize the Champions League by the time that rolls around. So when actually is the Carabao Cup? The Carabao Cup final is what's that? It's for the last week of April. So when is the Champions League? Champions League schedule. Let's see. So the Champions League quarterfinal. So the quarterfinal second leg is going to be midweek before Aston Villa. That'll be the second leg. And then the semi-final. So basically they'll be playing semi-final legs. The first leg at least. Before or after rather the Carabao Cup final, or in and around that. So that's something we have to kind of potentially pay attention to. City mid and attack is risky to have 3, especially on their value. You need a strong bench if they don't play. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Still have your bench boost and that works out fine, but again, having a player benched doesn't feel good. But depends on the double or the Game Week 29 player, and it also depends on how many of those Game Week 29 players you currently have. So for myself, let's say I didn't have De Bruyne. Let's say I had, I don't know, because in some people's teams they're going to be, let's say it was Fernandes. Let's say, hypothetically, right? Let's say this was Fernandes. Where's Bruno Fernandes? If that was my team, let's say, obviously you can do a sideways move to De Bruyne, but it's not ideal. And with one transfer, typically you should be able to get that one player in. But if it was like, you had a smaller midfielder, someone like a Harvey Barnes or somebody like that, that's just not ideal. Then a player who's going to play twice. Obviously, Jesse Lingard technically only plays once. Rafinha would play twice, so I think he would be fine. So yeah, it is a bit tricky. I think De Bruyne is good value for this week, but I would not be surprised if he was rested. So, bit of a tricky one. Sterling has had disappointing minutes. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been great value this season at all. Been kind of very hot or very cold. Bale only played 30 minutes tonight, but looked sharp. He did, and United were terrible. They were definitely. I do think 3 players come out of that good, though. I think Mason Greenwood looked good. Amad Diallo, when he came on, looked good. Obviously, he scored a goal. And Bruno wasn't vintage Bruno, but it was an okay performance. Um, Midfield just way too deep, way too passive. Um, back line was shaky at times, and we don't have much threat coming off the bench because we have injuries. So could be a bit tough versus West Ham. Would Kane, Son, and Bale be too bad? Probably, I would say. Would probably be a bit crazy. I think 2 is fine. I think it's Kane plus 1. And if you're going to pick one, in my opinion, I think you go Son, just because Son's, had a better injury record than Bale, and Bale gets less minutes. So if there's players that get taken off, it's like the Bales, the Lamellas, the Lucas Mouras, the Ndombele's. Those sorts of players get taken off first, which likely leaves either Kane or Son almost assured for the full 90 minutes, and sometimes both of them for the full 90 minutes. So can't get points if your player is off the pitch. So I have Rashford to go. Any news on Grealish? We don't know. The press conferences should be tomorrow. Like if we look at the fixtures again, Aston Villa's press conference actually should have came out today. Let me see if there's anything on the old FF Scout. Let's take a quick look-see. Steve Bruce. Dean Smith, here we go. Matty Cash is back to full training. He's traveling with us to Newcastle. He's available for selection. El Ghazi is back from an infected toe as well. So that's good news on that regard. Dean Smith on Grealish. Jack's been making really good progress, but unfortunately he won't make Newcastle. He has been ill this week, so he's been off for a couple of days as well, but we're hopeful for the Tottenham game now, that's for sure. So it seems like they're targeting the Spurs game. So Grealish won't be back for this one. But I would also say to make sure to check out the Fantasy Football Scout team news that they do. They typically do it around an hour, like at least a couple hours before the deadline is supposed to be on Fridays. So should get quite a bit of news. The only teams you might not hear from is teams that play on like Monday or later. So like Wolves, Liverpool, we might not hear anything. But with Liverpool, you might have heard something at like post game after their Leipzig win midweek. Not even a great game to get him back for if that's his first game back. Yeah, I mean, but it's an important game. It is an important game. But actually, I'm curious. So originally they said that Grealish was going to be like, he was, he was going to be out for a month. So he's missed, what was it, Leicester? So game week 25. When was game week 25? 19th of February. So yeah, it's going to be about a month. So they were right with the initial reports. But Dean Smith kind of played it off because he got kind of, upset that fantasy managers that know how to use bots basically figured out Grealish was injured, basically. So, but yeah, looking at my team, I'm really still not sure. I think I have to make one transfer, obviously, because I'm not going to burn one. So there's two paths I could go. The first one was obviously the one that I had mentioned before, was Rafinha. It just makes sense. And then potentially Pereira, let's say for Burn, and then keep two transfers going into the international break for in the event of some madness happening. And then if things go well, we can bring in Fernandez, and then we could bring in Calvert-Lewin, let's say. And then we can downgrade, if let's say if Everton got a double game week, and then we can go for the likes of Kane or somebody like that. If there was a double game week for Everton, something we could do, and that would be for that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 transfers. We would have 4 of this free, so that would be for -4 going into double game week. So not, that'd be pretty good, and we would have 5 out of 6 slots for double game week players, which would be quite good. The other alternative is to go a little bit more passive and kind of see if we can maximize the value. So basically get rid of Areola, which would be for Fabry to see if we can get a little bit extra money. I see Kane is black. Yeah, it's just because they had a little ice pack. But Mourinho said he had a little ice pack on his leg. I think he should still be fine, though. Mourinho's, let me get you Mourinho's exact quotes. Jose Mourinho and Harry Kane. I hope he will be fit to face Arsenal. I believe so. It's a big match. Only big problems stop him to be there. Let's see the reaction tomorrow, but I'm sure he'll be fine. He just had a bit of ice or something. On his leg. So he should be A-okay. So yeah, could do Fabry and then just still play the same team as we were going to do, 4-3-3, with our 3 forwards, 4 defenders, 3 midfielders. Then go into the game week 29 with 2 free transfers. Get rid of Pereira because we wouldn't want him anymore. And we could bring in, let's say, I'll just say Dawson. Because Dawson is a West Ham defender and is quite good. So we could potentially go for him. And then we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players for the blank game week, which I think is about average, all things considered. So I think we should be fine on that front. And then we would have 2 frees again going into the post international break. Harvey Barnes would be expected to be back 1 week later, but again, not the greatest couple of fixtures, so I'd be looking to get rid of Leicester players, maybe bring them back after and see what they're like. But we can get rid of Barnes, we can get rid of Vardy, we could bring in Fernandes, and we would have just enough to go for the likes of Calvert-Lewin. So we'd have 0.1 basically to deal with that. And if we wanted to, we could take a hit and we could do different things with that. So we could, we could get rid of Cancelo, free up some funds, and bring in the likes of, Keane still, or somebody like that. Or if we were to, if we really wanted to, we could get Cresswell on the double up for that. West Ham, obviously, they have, Wolves away in 30, which is, a pretty good fixture. But then Leicester's a bit tricky. Newcastle was good. But they have a sea of green from 34 onwards. It's just a matter of, do I really want to have a situation where I have double West Ham? But also, the more important thing would probably be Azpilicueta, who would be somebody I would want to keep for the remainder of the season, and that squad will look a little bit better. Maybe we hold off on Azpilicueta for the 1 week. They would have West Brom at home, so I would like to have him. But maybe, maybe we can potentially get away with an Everton defender in that week. If we take a look at some of the price points for those, it's basically 5 million or more. Holgate's 4.8. We could technically stretch that, but is he necessarily going to play? He should play and has been playing, but we would want to go with like Digne or Keane or somebody like that. And Mina's supposed to be back soon as well. Soon-ish. Back for game week 30. So he could be an option as well. But we'll have to see. But Digne is the one I want to see if we could stretch to. It doesn't look likely. We may need to stretch the cash just a little bit. So that's an option that we can go for. But basically the players, I want to have a West Ham defender in. Maybe we wait on that until 34. In which case we would bring in the likes of like Dan Burn. So it would be, so if we reset, so we bring in, we remove Areola, bring in Fabry, and then do Dan Burn in 29, still having 2 free transfers. And then we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. And then we would still do the same transfers. Get rid of Barnes, get rid of Vardy, bring back Fernandez. Then we could potentially stretch to Richarlison, but let's say Calvert-Lewin. And then we can go from Shaw to Keane, or we can go Shaw to Mina, or we can go to Cancelo to Digne for that week. And then we can do our next week. We can hang on to Digne, and then we can look to do, some type of Chelsea defender. I want to get a Chelsea defender, but it's very tricky to do that, and deal with Everton potentially having a double game week at the same time as well, while getting Fernandez back in. It is a bit tricky, all things considered, and I think these 4 fixtures are going to be Fernandez is probably his best 4. Who want to get something back versus Spurs. Burnley at home could be tricky, obviously, but Brighton and Leeds should be good as well. So we're gonna have to see on that one. But if obviously if Everton doesn't get a double, then it becomes a bit different. We can go for we could just go for, the standard, what we're going to go for. Go for Rafinha. And then in game week 29, get rid of Pereira, get rid of Vardy. The only problem is that this takes us away from... having 2 free transfers post game week 29. Konsa, I have 3 Villa already. Martinez, Target, and Watkins. I have 3 Villa already, so I cannot get them. Let's say we'll go Ben White. And then it allows us to go exact money from Lookman to Fernandez after game week 30. And all of those transfers would be for free. We would then have... a benching headache, basically, because we would have to bench one of Gundogan, Rafinha, and Bamford, pretty much. Because I wouldn't bench Kane, wouldn't bench Son versus Newcastle, wouldn't bench Fernandez because he's versus Brighton, wouldn't bench Watkins because he has somebody easy too. So yeah, and Rafinha and Bamford have Sheffield United, which is it would be a bit true. Oh, Fulham, that's who it is. So that would be the only tricky thing. So yeah, that's the only reason I don't like that route. And then I have to try to, because I don't really want Leeds till 34. I mean, can I get away with benching Rafinha and Bamford every week? Probably not. And Bamford's taking up a slot. So it's either like get an Everton forward or just hang on to Bamford for forever. So obviously we could still do Rafinha. Put him in there. Then get rid of Pereira, bring in Burn, get a real cheap defender for the double game or the blank game week. Then go and then just sit with that. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players going in, which is slightly above average probably. And then look to potentially assess if there's an Everton double. If there is, then maybe we use both transfers on that. And then we hang off on Fernandes versus Brighton. But I don't really want to do that. So I'm thinking Pope and me out for Martinez and Konsa. If those are for free transfers, that sounds not too bad. The only thing is, you'll be playing them versus Spurs in the blank. They have Newcastle and Fulham, which are probably 2 clean sheets. But after that, Liverpool, Man City, would be 2 tougher games on paper. West Brom's probably okay, but then they have a terrible run to the end of the season with Everton, Man United, Spurs, and Chelsea in amongst all of that. So I wouldn't say a double up is necessary, because I'm potentially going to get rid of Target probably from 34 onwards. So we'll have to see. Oh, you'd be wildcard at 31? Okay, well then yeah, that's perfect then. Then the double up looks fine. Especially if it's for free. 2 free transfers is looking pretty good. Yeah, this was like my original plan, and then go into the week with 9 double game makers. Just Captain Kane, keep it simple for the blank, and then go into it and see where with the 2 free transfers, where players are coming off international break, what the injury situations are like, because I don't have a wild card, so if I had a couple players injured or something like that, then the plan may go out the window. So we'd have to kind of have as many transfers as we could possibly get to potentially repair our team. I'm sick of looking at Martinez cleaning up. Yeah, I mean, he's going to do that. I mean, he's been excellent this season. He has been excellent. And then for game week, game week 30, Vardy has Man City, West Ham, but then he has a nice run from 32 onwards. But I kind of wanted to keep him for the whole time, but obviously if they have injuries, then and he doesn't do anything versus Sheffield United, when I'm potentially going to be captaining him in that, he's not going to be looking good. So I think that Vardy out for Calvert-Lewin, and then obviously Fernandes makes it comes a bit short, and then we need 0.7 somewhere for something basically. Assuming if we got rid of Rafinha, we would only need 0.2. Which would mean we can go from like Cancelo to Azpilicueta or something like that. Assuming we keep the same value for our players. And for City defense, Leicester, Leeds, Aston Villa, probably not great for keeping clean sheets necessarily. But then their run towards the end of the season, you're probably looking at maybe Diaz, as kind of a guaranteed slot. Maybe Ederson just to close out the season, assuming he's playing, because Martinez's run to the season obviously isn't great, and Areola's is kind of a bit mixed. So maybe that's a transfer potentially in the making. But yeah, it is a bit tricky. I think my transfer is going to be quite dull this week, to be honest. It's going to be someone that's just going to stay on my bench. It's going to be Rafinha in for um, for the injured Barnes, and he's going to be on my bench because I'm not going to play him over the players that I would have. Or it's going to be like Areola to Fabry to free up a little bit more funds or something like that, because the rest of the players I don't really want to get rid of. Like, because if you look at the team currently, who are the players that I can transfer out realistically? You know, this game week. So I'm playing Martinez, so technically you can say Areola is 1. Because Martinez plays in blank 29. Pereira, Cancelo, and Shaw all won't play, but I want to play all of those, so those are out of the question. Barnes, because he's injured. And Vardy, but the problem is Vardy I want to actually play. So literally the only 2 players, because I'm not transferring out Kane, not transferring out Son. No reason to transfer out Lookman when he plays in 29. Same with Watkins, same with Aina, same with Target, Martinez. Why would I get rid of my City assets before Fulham? Why would I get rid of Shaw before a home game versus West Ham, who don't score many at all, and he's been on, I got stuck with him having 14 points on my bench this week. And then why would I sell Pereira and Vardy, even though they haven't been playing well, ahead of a game where they're probably going to, or should, beat Sheffield United? It just doesn't seem very smart for me to get rid of them ahead of those ideal fixtures. So that's why I narrowed it down to Areola, because I don't necessarily need Areola, because I have a Fulham defender, and I have Martinez. I have Martinez, in for the Gameweek 29. And then Barnes, because he's injured. Sanchez ain't a bad shout versus Martinez for 28 and 29. I mean, yeah, Brighton's fixtures aren't, they play what? Southampton and Newcastle. Yeah, not terrible. After that, the fixtures are awful. So you need a second goalkeeper. Yeah, I'd save like what, 0.7? But Martinez could easily do just as well. I mean, Newcastle's probably almost as guaranteed of a clean sheet as you can think of. And then he's got Fulham, which he could get a clean sheet in. And even Spurs, he could technically get a clean sheet in, or at least a bunch of saves. Obviously, the dream would be Kane scores a hat trick, but one of those goals is a penalty, which Martinez saves. And then Kane just taps it in afterwards. That would be the dream. That would be the dream. If that happened, I mean, you just completed FPL at that point, apart from a goalkeeper taking a penalty. That would be the dream. Yeah. Yeah, basically what Lingard did. Just hit the penalty, hope it spills back to them, and then just smack it in the goal. But with Kane, I don't think he's likely to miss, considering he is a pretty good penalty taker. Kane's one of these players that basically he seems like he's very good at replicating something when he strikes the ball well. And 99.9% of the time, Kane strikes the ball pretty well. Whether it be his left foot or his right foot. He just basically just goes at the ball and just wraps it in the bottom corner. In most cases, and yeah, it's quite difficult to save. Yeah, let's see who's actually potentially going to go up and down in price. These are obviously, these are predictions, but we will see exactly in about half an hour's time. So, Bale, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Ward-Prowse, Kane, Tielemans, Gundogan, and Diaz all potentially rising in price, with Azpilicueta, Konsa, Aina, Areola, Forster, and Wan-Bissaka in a close lookout. Potentially going down in price tonight: Salah, Cancelo, Firmino, Madison, Robertson, McNeil from Burnley, Pope, Bellerin, Barkley, Smith Rowe with Aurier, Yeremina, Balbuena, Torres from Man City, and Matt Ryan, the goalkeeper from Arsenal, in a close call there. What do I think of McCarthy? I think if you have McCarthy, I think you probably sell him, because Southampton don't keep clean sheets, and both the goalkeepers are terrible in McCarthy and Forster. They concede too much. You know, that seems like a pretty good move to me, to go from McCarthy to Sanchez. That seems like a pretty good move to me to go from McCarthy to Areola. You know, there's so many different goalkeepers at 4.5 that you could just do well with. That isn't Southampton. I mean, look, Meslier 4.6, not the best fixtures, although from 29 till the end of the season could be quite good, but they don't really keep clean sheets. But Areola looks good. If you have a little bit extra cash, Mendy is a perfect way to get in on the clean sheet action. You know, potentially clean sheets all the way up and including 34 look to be quite good. Even Guaita, West Brom's not a bad fixture. If you're looking for just a one-off. Yeah, Sanchez, like we said. You know, two good fixtures. Then probably we'll want somebody else for these three, and then you know, Sheffield United. McCarthy, Sanchez, and keep Pope for game week 30. Then bring in one Villa defender, possibly. That sounds like an alternative strategy, but again, Martinez this week, it's almost as assured of a clean sheet as I can potentially think of. It's like Villa don't concede much as it is. They're versus Newcastle, who don't score. So, and they have Matty Cash back by the looks of it, so which helps them out even more. And Newcastle don't have their three best attackers. So, it is quite a tricky situation for them. But, yeah, so this is the team as it stands right now. I still haven't made any transfers. I have 2 frees at the moment. So, yeah, Martinez in goal over Areola. Pereira, Cancelo, Target, and Shaw. Gundogan, De Bruyne, Son, Vardy, captain. Watkins and Kane, vice-captained. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. Obviously, Lookman first sub, Barnes is injured. So, if anything, the 2 potential transfers I could make, it depends on what line I think is more likely to happen. You know, get rid of Barnes, bring in Rafinha, and just bench him because he's versus Chelsea. Because I played all these players over Rafinha anyway. I would just move him up to second or first sub. And then look to potentially see what goes on for the blank game week. I still think Brighton defense can do better in the next 2 weeks versus Villa defense. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, Newcastle and so Brighton's got Newcastle as well. So if you think those are both clean sheets for their teams respectively, right? Then you just look at Villa has Spurs. And Brighton has Southampton. So who is more likely to keep a clean sheet? Villa versus Spurs or Brighton versus Southampton? Probably Brighton. But the problem is Brighton has been the XG kings of the whole season, and they still are in the bottom fighting for relegation, or fighting against relegation as it stands. So stats don't mean everything. But on form, they are the second best team defensively. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the deadline stream tonight. Like I said, I'll post my lineup as per normal. But yeah, let's go over to the big screen for all the announcements. So yeah, that's going to do it for the Gameweek 29 deadline stream. If you're watching this over on YouTube, make sure to give us a follow over on Twitch so that you can come see the streams live. We will be doing another one for the preview as per normal next week for blank Gameweek 29, as well as a deadline stream, which will be the night before. Yeah, there'll be a pinned comment down below, which will tell you when the next 2 streams are, as per normal. I won't be doing any videos over the weekend. I'll be doing some maintenance around the house over the weekend, so I might not actually get to watch much of the games. Most of that's going to be done on Saturday, hopefully. So yeah, I won't have gone anywhere. Videos will be back to normal on Monday, for sure. Let me actually take a look at how the fixtures roll. So we'll probably do a stream on Monday, video Tuesday, Wednesday, deadline stream on Thursday, something like that. And then there'll be a bunch of videos in between, you know, the end of Game Week 29 onwards and that sort of stuff. So, and then we'll do the preview stream probably a week before Game Week 30 starts, and then we'll do the deadline stream if it's on the Saturday, as normal. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Follow, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and till the next one, take care.